and today's topic is Blind Eyes Opened. And if you know anything about Redeem and Restore or about me, you know that probably is related to human trafficking, and it is. But don't shut me out yet. This is really light. This isn't dark and ugly. This is an interesting intro to find out, why would you pay attention to human trafficking? Why would you care if no one you know is involved? What's the deal? So today I invited Annie, who has a great story of just what happened with her and how she is now paying attention and how her eyes were opened. So thank you, Annie, so much for joining me today. She is a mother and married as well, has a husband and a business owner in Lake Country, Wisconsin. So if you're joining us from elsewhere, that is where she's from, and we are based out of Pewaukee, Wisconsin. But Annie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
That's great. So let's dive in real quick, because these are always brief. What is it? Was there something that triggered you to begin to listen and want to learn about human trafficking?
Yes, actually, you said it perfectly. Triggered is the perfect word to describe what I felt. It was actually about probably 5 years ago, I would say, that there was a showing of a documentary. It's called Nefarious, and it was following, and it was really portraying and unveiling the problem of human trafficking and sexual exploitation of children internationally. That's what that particular film, that documentary, was actually created around. And my husband and I, as we watched this documentary, keep in mind I had really no previous knowledge or exposure really to this problem. And so we're watching it, and as we're continuing to watch this, we were both shocked, saddened, and that eventually turned to some anger. By the time you're done watching this documentary, I mean, we were triggered. So by the end of it, we just decided that, okay, this is obviously a problem and a crime that is worldwide, and if we're really this upset about it, and we're sitting here in Wisconsin in the safety of our own home and our family, what could we do? Because we were to the point where, like, well, we can't do nothing. We have to do something. And that's when we just decided, if we really were this upset about it, we needed to take the time upon ourselves to learn more about human trafficking, and just decide to fuel that into something more productive. That's really what started it. That was really the first time that we saw and learned initially about it. And then we eventually ended up going to a seminar here in Wisconsin, where we were just hearing and listening again about human trafficking here in Wisconsin. And that was really new, because that documentary was focused more internationally. And so that's when we decided, okay, we need to learn more about this. What is fueling this, and what can we do? So that was really, it was back in 2015.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nefarious is a great movie, and yeah, we watched that and we've used that, and again, because we connect with it regardless of what country they're in, because they're human, right? And then again,
Right.
The seminar you went to was in Wisconsin, that brought it closer to home. So as you learned through these two events, how did that impact your family, and what did you do different or new with your family?
Well, I think exactly what you had just said, that it's important to reiterate that people are humans and they're not objects. And that message can really be conveyed and reinforced in several ways when raising a family. That's really, I think, the foundation of it is that people are humans. So people are not meant to be used as a transaction. They are valued, living people with lives, and they are not objects to be used as a transaction. And that's really an important understanding. So it starts with how you treat people, how you view people, how you treat life, how you view life. And I think that can really be reiterated in your family on several different ways. Um, and I think it's important to note too, like you had said, that it's not just an international issue, that this is happening here in the United States. It's happening here in Wisconsin, and it involves children and adults. It's not just children internationally. It includes adults here in our communities. And in fact, I also learned around that time when we decided that we needed to learn more about this, is that Milwaukee is a hub for trafficking. I mean, shocking. Okay, I mean, we have the interstate between Chicago, Minneapolis, going to the Dakotas. Milwaukee is actually a hub for trafficking. And I think now, when you fast forward into 2020, communities are starting to take notice more, and they're starting to understand the magnitude of this crime. But I think we also need to talk about why this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. What is fueling it? Why is there a demand for it? The pornography industry plays a huge role in trafficking, and I'm not sure anyone really likes to talk about that. Social media is also a catalyst, and so if you have kids, we have 2 boys. I mean, these are all issues and topics that need to be talked about in the home, and how all of these different industries and issues are connected in the big picture. And I think that's how, for us personally, it relates to our family. It's really touching on those issues and being able to just communicate and understand, because I think once you understand, you can see how we can cross paths with it in our everyday lives and
Right.
into our home. And I think that's really how we, in my family, we are just kind of involved and talk about these issues.
And what's also interesting with you is because your business and how the area and your focus of your business really crosses paths with this industry in a very big way. So, can you just tell me a little bit about how it's even impacted how you work with your business and in that area?
Yeah, right. So with our business, I mean, we work in the hospitality industry. Specifically, we are a product supplier into hotels. And because of the many crimes are actually taking place in hotels, I just felt it was important to use our existing platform and our connections and people that we were already in front of and talking to, just to continue the conversation and the dialogue about the awareness in about human trafficking at hotels, because there is a lot that comes into play just in terms of training and education. And I just thought it was critical to continue that mission for us, because we're already in front of hospitality, that it was important to bring those two together, and hopefully just help hotels in their training. So because they're on the front lines too, in terms of being able to identify if those crimes are taking place. So then what do they do if they happen to suspect something? And I think all of that with training and awareness, that's how everybody can play a part in preventing this crime. And it just starts with education and awareness.
Yeah. Right. And so obviously she gave a lot more than even answers to my question, because she is passionate. All right. And it didn't start that way. It was just slowly it built up through her learning and understanding of, again, looking at others as humans, and not wanting this for anyone, her family or anyone. And I think that's awesome, because that's really how we got to look at it. And she brought up multiple points that can be talked about at length: highways, hotels, pornography.
Yeah.
um, and those are things that we'll all bring up in other times. But also, I just want to recommend, if you want to learn some more and understand what is she talking about, how is this happening, we want to recommend a great movie called Blind Eyes Opened that we actually watched together this winter when it was at the movies. You can watch it on Amazon right now. It's a great eye opener. And also, you can be very inspired, because there are multiple survivors that talk about what they felt like when they were stuck and trapped in that no life, as I call it, and now who they are now, and the hope and the freedom that they have found. So it's a very good educational and interesting and inspiring movie. Highly recommend it. Also, we do domestic human trafficking trainings every quarter that we invite you to check out. We have one coming up, yet not until July because we just had one. But please check it out. You can check out videos that we have made and saved on our YouTube channel, Redeem and Restore Center. And of course, please go to our website at www.redeemandrestorecenter.org to learn more, because human trafficking is happening everywhere. As I've said in many other times, is here's the thing to put it in front of you. Where do the evil people live? Where do the good people live? And where do the vulnerable people live? And the answer to all three is the same: everywhere. This is why it happens everywhere, in rural counties, in cities, across the US and across the world, because where people are, this happens. This is not new. It looks different because we have technology and other opportunities, but this is something that's always been going on. We've always known about pimps and prostitutes and people selling themselves. This is nothing new. It just looks a little different and has become more rampant. And then again, as Milwaukee is a hub, because it's a city, there's a lot more people, just like every other city is a hub because there's more people. It is very logical why this happens everywhere. And so if you want to learn more and get involved, Redeem and Restore Center's mission is about loving, restoring, and supporting women that are restoring their lives after sex trafficking and exploitation. We want to help them and walk alongside them to support them to be all that they were created to be, just like you and I. And so we are about hope, we are about education, and being a part of the cultural change and opening up people's eyes and ears to what's really going around us. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Annie, so much for coming on and answering these questions and sharing with others so that they can begin to explore for themselves. Have an
Thank
awesome
you,
day.
Krista, just for your compassion and taking the time to educate others and ultimately helping all those survivors heal. I just commend you in all of your efforts. So thank you.
Well, thank you for joining today. Thank you for your kindness. And we hope to see you next Wednesday. We'll resume with Facebook Lives, hopefully. Thank you.